Hey,
This is our first video blog.
today we're going to be discussing black television and black cinema, and I don't mean the color, I mean the culture.
Yes.
So African American cinema.
Yes, we're not talking about... Well, I want to talk about black comedies.
Black
We're not
comedies.
talking about Dr. Strangelove, which is an excellent black comedy. We're talking
Very good.
about Soul Plane.
Yeah, or The Room,
Mhm.
but actual African American comedies.
Yes.
And to begin, we'd like to
My
start-
favorite African American comedy is Rosewood. Wait. Let's just start all over. Don't. I think that's the wrong movie.
I don't know what movie that is.
You wouldn't.
Oh.
Anyway, Tyler Perry came up today,
Tyler Perry.
and I don't know. We had a heated discussion with some of our friends about it. I don't mind him.
I've never seen them. I haven't been allowed in the theater when they show, for many reasons. But one, I wouldn't allow myself. But have not seen them. From what I understand, not that funny. Unless you're an older black woman who gets excited and dances around at church, you don't really like it. You know, a lot of my friends who've seen them tell me,
Yeah. But the thing is, he obviously has an audience that's paying to see these movies.
He has a very, very big audience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you know, he knows who he's selling them to.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his audience. If they like him, they like him.
Yeah, if they like him, they like him. He's getting money, so I don't see what the problem is.
It's not my cup
one
of
thing
tea.
if he was
but-
just making crappy movies that no one was coming to see, then I could see the argument.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, Tyler Perry's doing his thing. Ain't no thing but a chicken wang. And, you know.
You know, but he is smart. He owns his own studio, so he pretty much pays no one but himself. So it all just kind of, you know, he's technically a magician. Says, we're going to make this movie, here's a couple million,
Mm-hmm.
and then turns that couple million into a lot more millions.
Yeah.
So the guy makes money. He
Don't
makes
get
money.
me wrong, these are pretty crappy movies. But people are watching
Wouldn't know.
them. You know.
Well, no, all I know is Medea, when she don't get breakfast, she crashes through her house. Or through the drive-through window. Because she wanted breakfast, but it's 11:30.
Now, we also had another conversation. I don't know. This is like becoming a TV show or something.
Yeah.
We also had another conversation about just the way black sitcoms work in general. There's a format that Steven realized that's pretty systematic, and I have to agree.
In most comedies about with African Americans, they move on up. One was the Jeffersons, which that was the premise of the show, but also Different Strokes. The children, they were from a poor family. Their mother died, adopted by a rich white man. They moved on up.
Mhm.
Webster, same premise. One little boy, I
There's
believe,
always
was
an element
adopted.
of moving on up. Even like the Bernie Mac show. You got
Bernie
these,
Mac
these
show.
kids, they move on up into Bernie's lifestyle.
They move on up to Bernie. Family Matters was more about a. They never moved on up, but you missed the moving on up, but they were a middle class family doing all right in Chicago. The Cosbys,
Mm-hmm.
the father was a doctor, mother was a lawyer. They were doing well. There was never kind of, other than Good Times, Sanford and Son, What's Happening, never really shows. You know, they kind of stayed low. They stayed low, but you know they were still happy. They had good times. There were tough times, but there were good times.
Mm-hmm.
But what I said, why don't we take that formula that happens most and we reverse it? You don't move on up, they move on down. You got a nice, well-to-do black family. The father gets caught embezzling at the company, gets fired, they lose the house. They got to move back on down. They're back in the bad neighborhood. They have to get an EBT card. You know, the kids are used to going to a private school. They're now in a public school. They don't know how to act around the other kids. You know, the son listens to Andrea Bocelli. He's not listening to Lil Wayne. He doesn't even know who Lil Wayne is. He wasn't allowed to watch MTV or anything. Do they still show music videos? Probably
So
not.
it's about the struggle of this family that's going
struggle.
from
They're not struggling up. They're struggling down.
It's
Struggling
like they're
down.
going from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to Malcolm in the Middle. You know what
That
I mean?
was another one. Fresh Prince Will moved on up
Mhm.
to Bel Air, but also
He somehow took a cab from West Philadelphia to Bel Air, California.
well, in the original one he took a plane, but they cut that out for time reasons and later on.
Because obviously that logic is unimportant.
But it's more
to
funny
the
if you take a
audience.
cab from Philadelphia and tell the guy smell you later.
Of course the guy smells
The cab driver, they smell.
by the end of that epic journey.
He drove for 3 days straight. Will was a demanding man.
I'll take him. I'll take Will to Bel Air, though I do not know the way.
But I really think that concept could work, not for a very long-running show, but it'd be a fun concept to finally do, you know, show the family on the down. I believe they've done that with white families, but, you know, take the black family formula, but
Now, you mentioned Family Matters earlier, and the reason why Family Matters is one of my favorite TV shows of all time is because of Steve Urkel, who was like the only black nerd on television, and I genuinely...
Him and Stevie from Malcolm in the Middle.
That's true, or a smart guy. But
smart guy. Well, he was just more smart. He wasn't a nerd.
I know he wasn't a nerd, but it's
a cool guy,
very,
smart
very humbling to know that, you know, we do exist.
Yes.
And I felt represented at that one glimmering moment in American television history.
It was.
When Steve Urkel reigned as king. He is up there too, comedy-wise, in television.
It was a funny show, but what more was I saw a Toys R Us commercial the other day that was an old one from, I believe, early '80s. But they repackaged it for now, and like at the end it was like still the #1 toy store, but it was a very old commercial. But in it was both Jaleel White at age 5 and Jenny Lewis, if you've seen True Beverly Hills, or now was in Rilo Kiley. But it was so odd just seeing them both as children in a commercial now, which I was like, Toys R Us is getting cheap, just rerunning the old shit and saying Toys R Us, we're new and still good.
Now, how did you get exposed to black culture growing up? As I'm assuming you grew up as a white American child.
Eskimo child, but as I grew up, it was, you know, I went to a public school in a very diverse area, and I didn't fully, you know, as a child, I didn't really understand race. I thought our very good family friends were, the parents were from Mexico, they were a Mexican family, and the parents spoke Spanish, and the kids knew it too, and I just thought that they just made up a language among themselves. I had no idea that other countries spoke a different language. I didn't understand that they were different. Not that there is a difference, but I just didn't understand. I was like, oh yeah, everyone's the same. Like, black kids are like me. But then I found a show called In Living Color that I wasn't allowed to watch, but I did anyway. And as it went on, just, you know, I found the word cracker hilarious and would refer to myself as a cracker in elementary school. And I'd get in trouble and I didn't understand why, because I just thought it was funny. And I'm like, yeah, cracker, yeah. You know, this is funny to me. And, like...
My favorite story is when you just were begging your mom to let you go see Bebe's Kids.
I did want to see Bebe's Kids because it was a cartoon, and I was a kid, and yet again, not really understanding it was more of an urban movie. But I really wanted to see Bebe's Kids. My mom was like, no, Steven, it's not a good movie. It's a bad, filthy movie. And I'm like, it's a cartoon for kids. And I didn't understand they made cartoons for adults. And my dad still doesn't, and he still does not... He's not happy that I watched The Simpsons or King of the Hill. He once told me King of the Hill and The Simpsons both glorify laziness.
Wow.
And I said, Dad, it's a fucking cartoon. It's not real. And he doesn't understand that unless it's Chinese, which is a different topic for a different day.
I have a different take on that situation because, you know, me growing up, my parents are constantly trying to prove to me that I was black. And for some reason, like, it never stuck in my head. And, you know, I was just always into these weird fringe things, you know.
For example,
I don't know. Like, I was just, like, obsessed. Not that it's weird to be obsessed with, like, Star Wars and stuff, but, you know, I never really had the urge to wear, like, the FUBU shirts and the...
So as a kid, when you would play Star Wars, with everyone like, oh, you be Lando.
No one knew who Lando was because they were all into the prequels. I don't know what I'm saying here.
But see, I would have been happy to have been Lando. I really like Lando, and I would have been like, I think when I was a kid, I tried being Lando, and they said, yeah, you got to be someone else. You be Grand Moff Tarkin, and I was like, yeah, come on, Lando, I can pass off, and I never did. Never got the Lando, but
in general, I'd say that race is a very touchy subject, and I'm quite ticklish.
It is.
But it is always great to have moments like this where two people of different cultures can meet together and have a nice conversation.
Yes.
I don't know.
Maybe one day we'll sit down and watch a Medea movie.
Yeah.
And we will say, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're in a dude in a dress just going, like, you got breakfast? And is that how she talks? I do not know if that's how Medea talks. But also the women in the dress thing, done a lot by black actors. Done a lot. You got Eddie Murphy, I believe, did it a few times.
You have your Martin
Lawrence did it. Dave Chappelle and Robin Hood Men in Tights. Happened once, but not much. It was a few minutes he was wearing it, but it was all the white guys wearing it too, so it's okay. Medea wearing a dress. Who else was there? Who am I forgetting?
There have been a lot. They had Flip Wilson. He had a character that was in a dress. That's probably as far back as you can go in the old Negro tradition of males dressing up in dresses and pretending to be their grandmothers.
There was also a show called On Our Own, I believe, and it was about a black family whose mother died, and the oldest son dressed up as an aunt to pretend that they were being taken care of, and the child services lady knew, but she went along with it. I think her name was Aunt Jelcinda Jericho, and I hope you know what I'm talking about.
I hope you're making this up.
No, this is true. This is 100% true. I used to watch a lot of black sitcoms as a child, and I was like, yeah, this is where it's at. You know, Eddie Winslow was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Winslow was a cool guy, and
he was legit. He was just a father who worked hard. He came home. You know,
that was Carl Winslow. Eddie's the son. Another weird thing, Carl Winslow, Reginald Vell Johnson. I hear he's gay. I don't know if that's true, but he might be. He always plays the cop.
And here's another thing. You know, Laura Winslow should be flattered that anybody finds her attractive. I mean, she should have taken Steve and just ran.
How is she getting those hot football player guys? Like the captain of the football team.
She's okay.
No, she's no hose beast.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if I should be offended by that.
It's not a black thing or a white thing, but she wasn't that good looking. The younger sister was, and then she disappeared from the show, I believe. Mm. And little cousin Richie and his mom disappeared from the show. I had the same bike as him that he rode in the intro. I had the Huffy Hop Street.
I always thought he was like a mini Lionel Richie.
I did too, and his name was Richie. Same hair as Lionel Richie.
Same hair and everything. He might have been related.
He might have been Lionel Richie and little kid face. But
what do you think is the proper way to end this blog? Do you know any white spirituals?
White spirituals. White spirituals. Let's see. No. Do you know any white spirituals?
No, I only know Negro spirituals. So I guess that's
Will that stop it? No, it's I can just cut that off and just pretend you stopped it.
I think you should.